Hey, financial ed students. Hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to show you or talk to you about some stuff having to do with Strand 2, higher education. So, I'm going to show you a few things as far as tuition, financial aid, uh, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about your W-4 form that you fill out for a job. So, you guys, one of your assignments was to take a quiz on higher education. I noticed some of the questions that you had issues with had to do with some of this stuff. So that's why I wanted to talk about it real quick. So I'm going to use Utah Valley University as an example because that's where I went to college. I pulled up their 2018-2019 tuition schedule so I could show you guys kind of what to expect if you do decide to go to UVU or go to college in Utah. First of all, the amount of money you pay for college is usually based off of how many classes you're taking, or in other words, how many credit hours you have. So I've mentioned before to you guys a full-time schedule is usually around 12 credit hours, or it can be up to 18. So it actually shows you we have tuition, fees. A lot of classes will have fees, especially if they provide, like let's say you're taking a 3D animation class. If they have a program you have to use, they have to buy the program. So that's why they'll charge you fees for that. Anyway, so it tells you how much it's going to cost based off the credit hours, any fees that you have, and then the total. Now, this is per semester, right? So if you're taking 15, I would say is a normal amount that you could take for a full-time student, but full-time also means anywhere from 12 credit hours to 18 credit hours, which is why it's like highlighted right here. For 15 credit hours, it's going to be about like 5,600 per year if you're going to UVU. Now, calculate that times 4, you're going to look at around $20,000 to $25,000 for your education if you actually make it through in 4 years. A lot of people can't afford to pay their way through college, which is why we have what's called financial aid. Financial aid is something helpful if you know you want to go to college, but you can't afford it. Basically, the government has a program where you can get either loans, scholarships, grants, etc. that will help you pay your way through college. So that's over tuition. Now, you've probably heard about FAFSA before, or you may have already gone through FAFSA with your counselor, because that's something that we do at Hunter is the counselors will call you down and have you fill out the full FAFSA form. Now, if you're a junior, you maybe haven't done this yet because it's not as necessary. So one of the questions on your quiz had an answer that said FAFSA Forecaster. Now, basically, if you're not ready to apply for student aid, but you know that you want to go to college and you know you maybe won't have the money to pay for your whole way through, you can actually go to this thing called FAFSA Forecaster, which is basically going to tell you like what you could get for student aid. Now, you can type this in Google FAFSA Forecaster and it'll pull up the website. One thing you need to make sure is that you're going to a government website. So it'll say .gov, or else there's a lot of websites out there that'll try to charge you, which is not necessary. It's a free application for federal student aid. So anyway, the FAFSA Forecaster is basically for if you don't know yet. Like, you only fill out the official FAFSA if you've been like applying for colleges, you know you want to go to college. That's what that's for. Forecaster is for if you're not, it even tells you if you're not ready to actually start applying. Now, the other one, FAFSA official, is the free application for federal student aid. It's free. If you ever go to a website that tries to charge you to fill out FAFSA, don't do that. It's the wrong website. Like, you should not be charged. It's literally called FAFSA because it's the free application for student aid. So a reminder, a grant is free money from the government. You do not have to pay back grant money. A loan is money that you're borrowing from the government. For student loans, you usually start paying them back 6 months after you've graduated. Unless you want to do something called deferring your student loans, which means you wait to pay it back. Okay, so that's tuition and student loans. The other thing I wanted to mention has to do with your, when you get a job, some of the tax forms that you have to fill out. Now, a few of you put your response as you need to fill out the W-2 and the W-4. That's actually incorrect for you as a worker, right? So I've pulled up the form so I can show you guys. When you first get a job, they have to keep track of how much money you're making and how much money they're withholding from you in your taxes so that you can use that information later when you file for your taxes. The form that you fill out is actually W-4 form. You go in, you answer the questions on the form, and you give that form to your employer with the option of keeping a page to hold on to for your records. So basically when you're filling out the form, it asks you if you're single, right? Whether or not you're filing as a single person or jointly as a married couple. It also asks you about your dependents, which means if you have any children that you have to file for. So that's your W-4 form. The W-2 form is the employer that is the form that your employer fills out for you. And basically once you're ready to file your taxes, so like for 2020, once it hits January, you can expect to get your W-2 back from your employer because they will go out and fill out information based off of how much was withheld for Social Security and Medicare, etc. Send that back to you and you use that when you're actually filing your taxes. So W-2 is for your employer, W-4 is for you. The other form, so the correct answer that most of you guys did not get this, the other form you have to fill out is actually called an I-9. It's basically employment eligibility verification. And it just asks you some questions like, where do you live? Are you a citizen? Are you able to work in the United States? If yes, great. You don't fill this out until your first day of the job, pretty much. So that's all I have for today. Make sure you guys let me know if you have any questions. Technically, it's my office hours right now, and I haven't heard from anyone. So if you ever feel like you need to chat, have any questions about the content, talk to me, you guys. I'm home. I'm here for you. Hope you guys are doing well. See you soon. I'll post more videos like this as we go along. Bye.